This is the Tier 8 American Premium Tank Destroyer, the XM66F, a vehicle that features very solid damage per minute, incredible haul-down capabilities, and obviously with that, pretty good armor. In today's video, I'll be showcasing the statistics of this tank, its armor profile, and how it plays in the battlefield. So obviously, if you enjoy this type of content, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below, especially because my wallet did take quite a big dent from getting my hands on the loot boxes for these vehicles. So we're going to start off with the statistics of this tank. Making our way over to Tanks GG, we can see my current loadout that I'm running for the vehicle. A lot of people are running turbo on the tank, but after looking at the mobility, I don't know if it's actually that necessary. It reaches a top speed of 35 and it reverses at 15. Both of these are fairly good values, especially for a tank that you're not going to be driving super frontline. I'd probably play it more like midline. So I'm personally running vents just in the slot to get that extra bonus, a gun rammer, and to finish it off, we have improved rotation mechanism so that we have much better on-movement dispersion. Looking at those on-move values, they're normally 0.18, which is pretty dooky. Once you get your crew fully kitted out, it'll be quite a bit better with smooth ride and everything, but still, a lot of people might run an aiming device on those long-distance maps, but I'm going to be real, this isn't a camping tank. It's definitely meant to be a frontline TD, especially if we make our way over to the armor profile. I mean, look at that turret armor. It is incredible. This is against 234 mils of AP pen, and yeah, that's pretty solid. Essentially, any tier 7s and the majority of tier 8 standard ammo is going to have no chance of cutting through the actual turret. You're going to have to load gold, and even loading gold, there's only a couple weak spots. We got this little flat spot next to the turret, and then apart from that, we got the little spots that the gun is basically mounted on. It's not even the mantlet, I'd just say it's the outer shell of the gun. It's weak, but it's not that bad, especially if you're hull down. I mean, there's not a lot of weak spots to shoot here. These are still 255 mils thick, and if you miss, you're going to be shooting at upwards of 574 millimeters on one side. So really, the biggest weak spot you can shoot at is this flat hatch right on the front here. Even if you miss it, there's a chance that it'll go just a bit high and hit the roof hatches, which are only about 100 mils thick. And yeah, the roof is a pretty easy overmatch, so you definitely want to try and use as much gun depression as possible. You also want to use gun depression because that upper plate is, yeah, it's downright terrible. I mean, sure, when you're hauled down, you might get some auto ricochets due to a 72-degree angle against AP ammo, but yeah, on flat ground, it's only 170, and the lower plate's only 160. So essentially, if anybody shoots at you on flat ground, they're going to pen you every single time. So make sure that you're hiding that frontal weak spot. Same for the side armor. Look how bad this thing is on sides. That is absolutely terrible. Only 50 mils on the entire side. That means if anybody has HE, they can easily rip into the back and rear of this vehicle. Essentially, don't let people get to your sides or your rear. Definitely play this tank midline, and I would say frontline if you have the opportunity to get hauled down, but obviously be very careful because this is a tank that can appear strong on paper, but it can definitely fall apart. It's really the DPM that is going to allow you to do some crazy damage. This vehicle sits at 3,200 with the current loadout we're running. I'm not even having field mods or anything special in terms of equipment, so yeah, that's pretty insane levels of damage per minute. The dispersion, aiming time, all very solid. On movement dispersion, pretty good once we got it kitted out. The hit points is pretty low though, only 1,300. Yeah, that's not gonna last you all too long, especially if you're fighting up-tiered opponents. My advice, if you're fighting tier 10s, you should not play this thing frontline, but obviously if you're fighting tier 8s and lower tiers, that's when you can play this a lot more aggressive. Honestly, at least on paper, the tank seems incredibly solid. I have not had the chance to play it yet, so we're going to find out how it performs, and yeah, let's get into some gameplay. Here we are on Ruinberg. This is an all tier 8 game, which is honestly pretty solid, and it should be a good overall example of how this tank is going to play. Now, I'm also going to showcase a tier 10 battle because I feel like it's only fair to showcase one tier 8 and one tier 10. Up against us, we have a crap ton of heavies. There's also a solid amount of TDs, and it's really the mediums that are lacking. In fact, not a single light tank, which is rather surprising. So we are going to make our way quite aggressive over towards the 1-2 line. You will notice that even without running a turbo, this vehicle accelerates fairly fast. So yeah, I mean, you see a lot of these YouTubers running turbos on their vehicles, but I just don't really think it's that mandatory. I'm still fairly fast getting into the front line, just as quick as my Skoda T56 or Type 63. So I actually would much rather have the accuracy and DPM. So our Type 63 is going to poke, and I don't blame him. I'm going to roll around the corner as well. Something you're going to notice that I personally really dislike about the vehicle is the gun arc. It is 30 degrees to the left and to the right. We can see it right there. That is the max the turret will turn to the right. And it's very irritating because of the fact that you have to constantly adjust the vehicle, and that obviously makes your gun bloom. You just don't expect a vehicle with a turret to have this type of problem. It's definitely an irritant. You're going to see that again here. I have to roll around my teammate, but then I have to turn it a bit to actually get an angle, which means we have to adjust our aiming. It's just a little annoying. If the Type 63 wasn't constantly pulling out in front of us, it would be a lot easier, but because he is, it's a little bit challenging. So we're going to aim in on the 703, and holy crap, I don't know if you guys just saw that, but we just blocked 3 separate shells worth of damage. Now, to be fair, we were hiding our hull behind the berm, so they all shot my turret, but it's a great example of the turret armor this vehicle does feature. So already we've been able to pick up 1,090 damage, which is pretty solid. We were able to get 2 shots into the 703 version 2 and 1 shot into the XM66F. All low rolls, I should add, but I'll still take any damage that I can get. We're going to push wide. Hopefully nothing shoots us. Go, 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 go. All right, we're good. I was a little worried there, but we are all fine. So we got an enemy AMX 65 ton who just cuts right through our roof. I didn't actually think he was going to cut through me, so I was just kind of waiting. But yeah, he goes right through me. So we're going to aim it on the roof of the Type 63. Unfortunately, does not end up penetrating. There's really only 2 spots you can pen a Type 63 when it's hull down. You've got the hatches on the roof, and you've got the gun mantlet. Both very tricky shots, and because of that, that's just not an easy vehicle to pen. But my teammates roll off to his side, and he just gets absolutely obliterated, which gives me the opportunity to push over here. Again, you can see I don't have that gun traverse with the way that the turret is mounted to be able to shoot that AMX from that current angle, so we had to wait a teeny bit for him to be able to hit. But we're going to get another shot into the AMX 65 ton. By the way, you're going to notice these hatches super, super weak. Look at that. We've gotten 2-3 shells in a row into our hatch on this vehicle. No shots have gone through our hull. So even though this tank does have incredibly strong armor, it doesn't really matter when you're able to butter right through the hatch on the tank. And it's definitely a big downside I've noticed on frontline engagements. If you're not using this vehicle hull down, that armor is going to fall apart very, very quickly. And you're going to notice that again here. We're going to aim it on the top of the and then my teammates just go right in front of me. Yep. Welcome to Classic World of Tanks. Well, let's try again. Hopefully this time my teammates don't go in front of me, aiming in on the roof of the XM. Trying to figure out which hatch I want to shoot for, but there you go. Easy shot. But you'll notice just how weak those hatches are. They are an easy pen for anybody. We're going to load a gold shell on the enemy Type 63, and at this point I'm going to stop using gold ammunition. Once I get down to about 5 or so shells, and I don't need gold ammo, especially because they don't have any heavies left, I'm not really going to bother, so we're just going to move on up. Let's see. I do want to be a little careful here because I don't know what the enemy team is going to do. They are definitely going to lose, but that doesn't take away from the fact that I am 420 health. They do have a WZ, actually 2 WZs, one of which is a 111 GFT, which has a pretty beefy chunk of alpha, more than I'm able to withstand. So for now, we are going to chill all the way in the back, and we're just going to wait. We can see the Panther 2, we can see the GSOR 1010, and I know that the WZ is right outside of my render range right now, so we're just going to chill here. We're going to wait. We can't get spotted or shot by the WZ, so we should be okay. Alright, well, let's just keep on waiting, keep on waiting. Not much is going on. I don't want to win this on base cap. I definitely want to try and get out some more damage, especially because we are so close to 3K. So we're going to wait just a teeny bit. Let's see. We got the Panther, who was just spotted, but nope, not much to do right now. I'm going to step out of the base so it resets the base capture. And there you go. Panther gets spotted again, aiming on his side. bonk. Nice 400 damage shot. Just like that, we're able to break the 3K mark. We got the WZ-111, and we're going to aim it on his vehicle. There you go, 386 damage. Okay, pretty solid stuff. We're up to 3,600 damage this game. Unfortunately, we are not going to get any more damage into the WZ. I was hoping that the WZ-120 was going to get spotted right towards where we're aiming here, and he was going to be just kind of chilling in that bush, but he actually backed up, and we're not able to get any shells into his vehicle. Even if we had driven over there, there's no way we would have been able to get any damage out. So I can't really complain. We did a pretty solid job, 3,600 damage, blocked 1,500, and won the battle. We were able to pull out a mastery for our game in Ruinberg, which is pretty solid. Honestly, I just don't think people know how to play this tank as of yet, because 3,600 damage is not an insane amount for a tier 8 battle. It's solid, but it's nothing crazy. I would expect 4 to 5k to be an ace range for a tier 8. And yet we got an ace with 3,600 damage and only 2 kills under our belt. So honestly, a bit surprising, but I'm not going to complain. I will take any aces that I can get. Overall, 3,600 damage, so not too bad. We're able to pick up 1,120 experience. So a pretty solid game for the XM66F. Prokhorovka, a map that I'm going to be honest, I did not want to play on. I should have turned this off in my map selection for a couple reasons. First of all, my crew is not fully trained on this vehicle. I need to get my camouflage skill trained before I play on a map like Proc. So that's the first thing. Second of all, I'm a fairly aggressive player, and if you give me a tank like this that allows to play aggressive, and then you put me on Prokhorovka, it's just a recipe for disaster. But surprisingly, this is actually a fairly good battle. We're able to pull out an ace tanker at the end of this gameplay and finish second on the team in a battle full of tier 10s, which is honestly pretty surprising. Now, if any of you think my aiming is really, really jittery in this battle, just to give a little bit of insight, I play World of Tanks Blitz, which is the mobile version of World of Tanks, and I'm fairly good at it. The only problem is that my aiming controls are much different on this game to Blitz, so I haven't really been playing that much World of Tanks lately. So if my aiming does seem jittery every now and then, I have to get my aiming down properly. There's no server reticle on Blitz, so it's kind of weird using a server reticle after not having one for years. But either way, we get a nice snap into the enemy AMX 1390, taking off 418 hit points. One thing that is going to be a serious problem in this battle, which you're going to see actually gatekeeps us from getting out more damage, is our pretty poor penetration. We only have 276 mils of premium pen, and that is basically tier 10 AP levels of pen if we count the shell normalization. So up against tier 8s like this T69, yeah, we go right through. I think we might have even hatched him. But when we're aiming at tier 10s, especially at 100, 200, or even 300 meters, for example, an E75, there's no chance we're going to cut through the lower plate, or apparently even hit the E75. I don't know where our shell went, but it clearly did not go where we wanted it to. This is definitely a map where I would have run an aiming device over having V-stabs, but unfortunately, I am running V-stabs because I only have one equipment set up. I didn't want to spend an additional 1.2 million credits on this vehicle. So, yeah, I just figured it's not worth it. To be fair, we still do pretty good. I probably could have done an additional maybe 1,000 damage if I was running an aiming device, though, so a bit disappointing. Our SU-130 gets killed, and our Tortoise just bled a lot of health as well up there in the front line. Oh, boy, and then he gets hit by Artie, and oh, yeah, man gets absolutely chunked. As we can see, it's not a great start for our team. I am just kind of waiting here. This is what you do on Prac. You have to wait for people to get bled out. You never want to be the first one to get bled. You always want to have somebody else in front of you taking the shots for you. And if there isn't somebody in front of you, then you're probably going to be the one to die pretty fast. So we had the hatch of the AMX for about half a second there. Could have shot, but nah, chances of that hitting really not going to happen. So I'm going to start loading AP ammo. I feel like, and then of course the moment I load AP ammo, I was going to say I feel like we don't really need to load premium for these opponents right now because there's nothing in front of us, but there you go, we got a VK. We're going to try and pen him. Unfortunately, armor not penetrated. Either hit the upper plate or we just did not have enough to overmatch the lower plate, and unfortunately our IS-2's in our way, so we're going to have to poke a little bit here. And then you'll notice the turret traverse is a little weird on this tank, but we're going to aim at it again, and here we go. Nope. Yeah, you can definitely see that my mouse sensitivity is just a little bit too much right now. Alright, well the VK-72 gets finished off, even though our shells don't go anywhere we want them to. We also do get penned by the TS5. Thankfully, the E75 bounces us in the turret. So I'm going to back up. I'm actually going to use this E100 as cover, just in case we are still spotted. But we're all good. We're unspotted at this point, and alright, we got the AMX still in mid. Man, this is just not a super engaging environment so far. We are just waiting and waiting and waiting for something to happen. We still do have a light, and as of right now, their team doesn't have much of a light because the AMX did bleed a lot early game. We can actually see the AMX is spotted over by our Tiger Mouse. So because of that, we don't have to worry too much about getting detected right now. Oh, there you go. TS5 is spotted. Okay, this should be a fairly easy shot. I was aiming at the upper plate, but I'm going to aim at the lower plate. Again, shell doesn't even hit the TS5. I don't know where our shots are going this game, but they are clearly not going where I want them to. Again, no cigar whatsoever. So just really bad luck in the beginning of this game. As I said, if I was running an aiming device, we might have been able to get out a decent chunk of damage here. So I've decided, yeah, this gun is not working at this distance for me. We're way too far away for the equipment I'm running. I'm going to push up. I'm going to get more towards frontline. This vehicle has enough armor to go toe-to-toe with tier 10s in the turret. The hull, really bad. But Prokhorovka is one of those maps where the mid-ridge allows you to work the 10+ degrees of gun depression. And because they don't really have any tanks I would expect to be sitting all the way up on the far ridges, we should be able to get fairly aggressive here and hopefully not bleed all too much health. But we are a tank destroyer, we don't have an insane amount of HP, so we are going to poke this AMX, we're going to aim it on his vehicle, and we're going to try and pen him. We get the bounces on the side, but the AMX pens us in the hatch, bruh. I cannot believe that the AMX managed to hatch us when that was literally the quickest snap ever. But oh well. As we know, the AMX has god tier accuracy. But I can't even say that's accuracy. That's just called, I guess, good shooting paired with a bit of good luck. So not a great start for me on mid-hill. This has not been a good game. Only 700 damage dealt. But we're going to aim it on the side of the E75. And it doesn't pen. Okay then. That's not even accuracy. That's just me getting bad luck. Thankfully, the E75 has been finished off. And there you go, another target has been cleared. Okay, well, let's see. We got the 2 and 10 E3 off to the side. Something you'll notice about this vehicle is that it features a very awkward traverse of its gun. It is only 30 degrees to the left and 30 degrees to the right. And because of that, it is incredibly awkward to try and shoot people off to your left or to your right when you also have people in front of you. So we got the Skoda, we got the E3. I see the already shoot, so I move up a bit. Alright, we got the side of the E3. This should be a fairly easy shot. Let's aim in, and alright, there you go. We take a shot. It is a premium shell. I would expect a premium shell on the side of the E3 to pen, but I guess we'll have to find out once the game does indeed end. Well, we got our UDES off to the side. He's going to do kind of a YOLO spotting run. Honestly, I support his actions because that allows us to aim it on the side of the E3. Judging that the E3 is missing about 400 HP, I think it's suffice to say we did end up penning that shot. Alright, well, I'm not going to just keep poking this hill unless there are people spotted and I can see where they're looking. We only have 412 health, which is not enough to take a shot from any of these players. But we've done about 1,600 damage now, adding in the blind shot from the E3. So we've definitely picked it up a bit. I find it funny how the less health I have, the better I'm doing. We got the Skoda in mid, we got the AMX M4, but again, I don't really want to play too aggressive. So let's aim it on the side of the TS5 over here. Let's see. Pretty easy shot, I would say. Armor hit. Looks like we went into his track rather than the actual hull. Unfortunate. Once again, we can see that this gun is rather derpy. It's just, even though I'm running, you know, all accuracy for this vehicle's loadout, just, yeah, the accuracy's not loving us too much right now. I wonder if it might even be beneficial to take off the gun rammer to put an aiming device on. Just literally the all accuracy loadout might help the vehicle quite a bit, but here we go. We got one premium shell left, and we're going to use it right in the side of the AMX M4 turret for 438 HP. Alright, nice. We caught that guy lacking, and we were able to slap a shell right into his tank. We're up to 2,000 damage now. We see the enemy Skoda T50 running all the way at the back. I'm just going to take a random shot, but we can easily see that that goes into the dirt. Okay. Well, we're not doing too bad. Not doing too bad at all. AMX is still in mid, and yeah, there's just really not much going on here. This is the downside of Prokhorovka. You are basically just waiting for somebody to get spotted. And as the game goes on, less and less people get spotted because there's less and less people on your team. And as we saw, my gun really didn't want to work well frontline, so let's see. We got the Skoda all the way in the back. I'm just going to aim in at his turret. And there you go. Easy pen, 373. Some people might say, well, why didn't you aim for the weak spots on the edge of the turret? Because at that distance, let's be real, it's a toss-up. If I aim center mass, my shell is most likely not going to go center mass, so I might as well just aim at the center mass, and it'll probably go into the turret, which it did, so I'm not going to complain. Well, we're up to 2,400 damage now, and we got the side of the E3. I expected my team to finish this player off, but we're going to aim it on the side. There you go. Our V-stabs helped us get that snap out. And we get the clear on the E3. Okay, not too bad. We've got our first kill at this point. See how many more we can get. Well, there's the TS5 spotted. Alright, let's see if we can finally get a pen into this TS5. Man has been evading our shells like crazy. We're going to wait for him to over-angle his sides, and armor not pierced. Unfortunately, we have no premium shells left, so at this point, we're just slinging AP. We're going to take another shot at the TS5, goes into the dirt. Wow, our luck is just not it today. I'm getting pretty angry at my luck, so I've said, you know what, screw it, I'm going to drive over the ridge. We got the AMX right in front of us, and he's not looking at me, so we're able to finish off the enemy AMX M4. Because they only have two TS5 and the ELC is no longer, actually that's not an ELC, it's a T69. I don't know why, but it looked like an ELC. But, there you go. We are now 3 tanks left on the enemy team. Obviously, this is going to be a win. We're at 2,400 damage, and now we have ourselves 2 kills. Let's see if we can get any more damage out. I see my 121B headed right into the front, so I'm just going to chill right here. We're going to aim it on the side of the TS5, and there you go. Easy slap into his vehicle. We see the other TS5, but obviously, we all hate Artie, so I'm going to finish off the enemy Artie player for a nice 400 damage, and we're not going to get any more into the TS5. So we did 3,200 damage, plus we had our blind fire on the T110E3, so we finished off with about 3,500. Not too bad at all. As we can see in the post-game results, this turned out to be a pretty solid battle. Not only did we pull out an Ace Tanker Mastery Badge, but we also finished second on the team in damage, picking ourselves up 4 kills, and almost doing more XP than the Tiger Mouse. Honestly, pretty solid game, especially for a battle that I started off pretty poor and was on Prokhorovka, which is a map that I didn't even want to play on. So, yeah, not a bad game at all for the XM66F. So, after playing in this vehicle for a few games and getting a general idea of its playstyle, what can I say about the XM66F? It honestly seems to be a pretty well-balanced tank. For example, it's got a lot of DPM and decent accuracy, but to balance that out, its penetration is really mid. Only 276 mils of APCR means that this vehicle is going to struggle a lot at shooting vehicles at distance or super heavily armored tier 9s or 10s. Because of that, you're going to have to be very careful and cautious on who you're fighting. It has incredibly strong armor, but only when hauled down. The turret, as we went over, its overall bulbous part, you're not going to pen. Even in a tier 10, it's really strong. But the problem is that the hatches are incredibly weak, and anything that knows how to aim at those hatches is going to butter right through. And that is the same case for the upper and lower plates. You're going to butter through the hull armor like no tomorrow. So you have to be using the 10 degrees of gun depression to actually have effective armor. Because of this, it's once again really tricky to actually use. And I would say my least favorite part about this tank is the fact that its turret only turns 30 degrees to the left and to the right. There are actually tank destroyers, vehicles like the Tortoise, that have very similar gun arc, but the thing is, you expect a Tortoise to have poor gun arc because it doesn't have a turret. This vehicle has a turret, and it very easily could turn more, but 30 degrees means that you can barely get it over the tracks, and it's just so awkward because you're trying to roll around a corner, shoot your opponents, but then you can't, and you can't maneuver the turnaround, so you're just showing this incredibly weak hull that's only 50 mils thick on the sides. Yeah, it's awkward, I'm not gonna lie. So I actually think that this is a fairly well-balanced vehicle. I can understand why people are definitely struggling in this tank and why I was able to get aces so easily. I would give it a solid 7 out of 10. I don't think it's the most enjoyable vehicle ever, and I don't know how other people are enjoying the vehicle, but I would say that it's a fun tank. It's pretty well-balanced, which is good. It has weak spots, and they're not super bad to the point where the tank is unenjoyable, but they're also not overpowered and super small like the Chieftain FE201 has. So this is a really well-balanced vehicle. I like the gun, I like the playstyle. I do think it should have a bit more HP, but overall, it's a very fun tank. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.